The story of the Hand of Death cult originates with two of America's most infamous criminals, Henry Lee Lucas and Ottis Toole. Lucas was a drifter, criminal and convicted murderer who, by the early 1980s, had become notorious for claiming hundreds of murders across the United States. Authorities initially suspected some of his confessions were true, though later investigations revealed that the majority were false or exaggerated. During this period, Lucas introduced the idea of a secret, nationwide criminal organization called the Hand of Death, which he claimed operated covertly out of Florida. According to Lucas, this organization was a devil's cult, and initiation required committing murder. He claimed that the cult had hundreds of members operating across the country, carrying out killings, abductions, and other violent acts. Lucas described the cult as highly organized and ruthless, asserting that members could be assigned contract killings in exchange for payment. Florida, particularly its remote swamps and wilderness, was described as the site of secret training camps where new recruits underwent rigorous paramilitary-style instruction. Lucas also claimed that Ottis Toole was involved in these activities. According to their confessions, they were introduced to the cult by a man sometimes referred to as Don Materick, who recruited them into the group. The pair claimed that as part of their initiation, they underwent training in remote locations in Florida, where they learned murder techniques, abduction, arson, and other criminal skills. These camps, Lucas said, were located in swamps or isolated areas far from public scrutiny, making them ideal for clandestine operations. The accounts given by Lucas and Toole painted a terrifying picture. According to Lucas, the Hand of Death was not simply a violent gang or criminal enterprise. It was a satanic organization with ritualistic practices. Members allegedly participated in human and animal sacrifices and were expected to carry out ritualistic killings as proof of loyalty. Lucas claimed that some killings occurred in Florida at these hidden camps, including tests where recruits were forced to kill other members. Beyond training, Lucas said the cult assigned its members to commit murders and kidnappings across the United States. He claimed that some acts included abducting children and teenagers, transporting them across state lines or even internationally, and using them for ritual purposes or exploitation. While these accounts are horrifying, investigations found no evidence in Florida or elsewhere to support these claims. No missing person cases were linked to the cult, and no physical evidence was ever discovered to substantiate Lucas's accounts. Despite this lack of proof, the narrative captivated the public. The combination of Lucas's notoriety, the alleged scale of the cult, and the supposed connection to satanic rituals created a story that seemed both plausible and terrifying. The idea that a clandestine cult operated out of Florida, preying on victims and training killers in the swamps, added a geographic specificity that made the story more vivid and frightening. Lucas's claims received significant media coverage in the 1980s. News agencies, including UPI, published stories describing the Hand of Death as a secret cult requiring murder for initiation. The public, already exposed to reports of serial killers, cults, and satanic rituals during the height of the Satanic Panic, was captivated. The idea of a nationwide network of killers operating under a satanic banner with its base allegedly in Florida was terrifying, and the narrative fit neatly into the cultural anxieties of the time. The media amplification also contributed to the persistence of the story. Sensational headlines, interviews with Lucas and Toole, and public fascination created a feedback loop in which the legend spread rapidly. Even though law enforcement was skeptical, the story's dramatic Florida connection made it more memorable and sensational. The narrative became part of true crime folklore, and over time, it has been referenced in books, documentaries, and online forums, despite its unverified nature. Authorities conducted investigations to determine the validity of Lucas's claims about the Hand of Death. Searches of the Florida swamps, where Lucas claimed the cult had training camps, yielded no evidence of secret facilities, bodies, or ritual sites. Law enforcement also found that many of the alleged murders could not have been committed by Lucas or Toole due to alibis or lack of evidence. Investigators quickly became skeptical of Lucas's confessions. He often contradicted himself, provided inconsistent timelines, and changed details when questioned. Many of the murders he admitted to were later proven impossible, leaving only a handful of confirmed cases. These discrepancies led authorities to conclude that the majority of Lucas's claims, including those involving the Hand of Death in Florida, were fabricated. Psychologists and criminologists have since studied Lucas's case as an example of false confession behaviour. Convicted criminals, especially those seeking attention, notoriety, or psychological control, may invent elaborate stories to manipulate investigators or the public. Lucas's description of a Florida-based Hand of Death appears to fit this pattern, combining real criminal behaviour with exaggerated claims of a satanic cult operating nationwide. The persistence of the Hand of Death legend cannot be separated from its historical context. The 1980s in the United States were marked by widespread fear of satanic cults, ritual abuse, and hidden criminal networks. This period, often referred to as the Satanic Panic, involved numerous allegations of child abuse, murder, and cult activity, many of which were later proven false or exaggerated. In this climate, Lucas's claims resonated deeply with the public. Stories of secret cults in remote areas, particularly Florida swamps, operating under occult principles, matched existing fears and narratives. The combination of real crimes committed by Lucas and Toole with fantastical claims about a Florida-based nationwide cult made the story particularly compelling. The geographic specificity, a cult allegedly headquartered in Florida, intensified the sense of danger and realism in the narrative. Despite extensive media coverage and sensational claims, no credible evidence has ever supported the existence of the Hand of Death. No physical camps in Florida, no independent witnesses, no bodies, and no corroborated missing person cases have been linked to the alleged cult. Investigators have repeatedly concluded that Lucas's stories were false or exaggerated. The supposed activities described by Lucas, including international child trafficking, ritualistic murders, and secret training camps in Florida, remain unsubstantiated. Scholars and law enforcement experts regard the Hand of Death as an urban legend or myth, rather than a verified criminal organisation. The cult's reputation has persisted primarily due to Lucas and Toole's claims, media amplification, and the enduring public fascination with secretive, violent organisations. The Hand of Death continues to captivate audiences because it represents a potent mixture of fear, fascination, and the unknown. Even though it is widely regarded as unproven, the story persists as a cultural symbol of hidden evil. It plays on deep anxieties, the idea that violence may be organised, that crimes could be part of a larger, secret system, and that unknown forces may operate beyond the reach of law enforcement. The narrative also provides a compelling structure for storytelling. Real crimes committed by Lucas and Toole are framed within a larger context, giving meaning, however fictional, to otherwise random acts of violence. The Florida connection gives the legend geographic specificity, allowing audiences to visualize remote, swampy locations where evil might secretly operate. This detail adds realism and intensifies fear, ensuring the legend's survival in books, documentaries, podcasts, and online forums. Modern criminal justice experts and historians largely dismiss the hand of death as a myth. Key points include: no corroborating evidence. Despite investigations, no physical traces of camps, ritual sites, or bodies have been found in Florida or elsewhere. Lucas frequently changed details, contradicted himself, and claimed murders he could not have committed. Many murders attributed to Lucas were later shown to be impossible or unrelated to him. The cult narrative fits patterns of attention-seeking, manipulative behaviour in convicted criminals. These points lead to a clear conclusion. The Hand of Death, as described by Lucas and Toole, and supposedly based in Florida, likely never existed as a real organisation. It is a combination of criminal fabrication, myth-making, and cultural fear. While the Hand of Death may not have existed, its story is valuable for understanding human psychology, media influence, and cultural fears. It illustrates how a single individual's claims can generate widespread belief, especially when they align with societal anxieties. The story also highlights the importance of evidence-based investigation and the dangers of relying solely on confession, particularly from individuals with histories of deception. The legend serves as a reminder that myths and urban legends can persist long after they have been debunked. It underscores the human tendency to seek patterns in chaos, to explain horror through organised narratives, and to be drawn to stories that evoke fear, mystery, and fascination. The specific claim that the cult operated out of Florida adds a geographic anchor, making the story more tangible and memorable, even as it remains unverified. In the end, the Hand of Death is more than a claim of a criminal cult. It is a reflection of human imagination, societal panic, and the enduring appeal of dark, hidden stories. It remains a cautionary tale about the intersection of crime, myth, and media, demonstrating how legends can endure even in the absence of proof.